Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, great. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Fantastic. Well, hello, Swineryy. Thanks so much for
Hi.
making time to
No, no,
talk to
no.
me.
Of course, I'm really excited to talk to you actually.
Oh, okay.
Nice connecting with you.
So I know you have a busy life, and it sounds like this has been a really busy week for you.
This has been a really busy week. I mean, I have a regular busy life, not like any more busy than anyone else's life, but yeah, this week has been a bit chaotic for sure, especially today has been really chaotic.
Yeah,
But
that's why
I'm
I'm
glad
super
to be here.
grateful. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, of
so
course.
I have to tell you, I'm being weird because I'm actually really nervous about talking to you.
Oh, why? You shouldn't be nervous.
No, no, I am. And
I'm nervous.
there, oh, you're nervous. Okay. No, I'll tell you why I'm nervous if you
Okay,
want.
sure.
Because one, I'm acutely conscious that I'm talking to a storyteller. So
Okay.
everything I say is material.
Right.
And the second is because I think that you're some sort of genius.
Oh, um, I
I
don't
can
feel like
elaborate
one.
if
Yeah, sure.
if you want. So I actually think that you are an evolutionary step in a really ancient storytelling tradition from our part of the world, which
Right.
is animal stories or fables, and
Hmm.
the frame story, which is stories within stories. And you'll find
Right.
this in Sanskrit storytelling, in the Panchatantra, and for the
Right.
Perso-Arabic tradition, and in the Urdu traditions of Qissas as well. So
Yeah.
I don't think this you're just doing a bunch of animals talking.
No, I really appreciate that that you think that and you feel that, and I do agree. I mean, not that I don't agree that I'm a genius, but I do think there's like more to the storytelling and the characters than them being just like animals or something like a cartoon. But yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
great. But I have to also say that until
Hmm.
fairly recently, I didn't actually know what an Animoji was. And I was under
Right.
the impression that you were creating these things from scratch, that you were
Yeah.
drawing and animating and et cetera, et cetera.
I wish. Yeah, I'm glad that that didn't change your opinion. You still think I'm smart. But yeah, I wish I know a lot of people do think that I like animate them myself as well.
Yeah.
Um, which I don't. I wish I was that skilled. But yeah, it's just the voicing and the writing and I guess um like I guess I customized some of the animojis because like obviously the pig and stuff already exists, but like you couldn't find Blue Molly Sab or Lina Aunty in an Animoji, like in the app. Like that's something I have
Yeah.
to create by like picking out different features and all that. But I'm not actually animating, of course. I'm just like customizing. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering how you would have an Animoji for a Smolvi.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's yeah, and I still think you're a genius. That didn't change my opinion at all. And
Nice.
there's so much about your body of work that's stellar, but what I admire most, I think, is your exquisite control of voice. So each
Hmm.
monologue is a masterclass. Do you write it before? Do you improvise? Do you edit?
Uh, no, I have not. I would say like 90, if not more percent of my work is not scripted. Um, like I don't pen it down like by hand or like on a laptop or anything. It's a thought that comes to me, and then sometimes what I'll do is like the other day just a random word appeared in my head and I thought it would might be good for one of the characters and I knew I couldn't do it then, so I like uh put it in my notes app. But then when a few days pass by and then I open the notes app, I'm like, I don't know what this was. Like it just says a random word like comb or something, and then I'm like, I
Mm.
don't have that thought anymore. So um so it's not scripted, but it's usually like, I'll be thinking something and a thought happens, and then I'm like, oh, this will be good. And then I just make it up on the spot. For some videos, like especially if it's like a video where, like a brand has sponsored it or something, I do write it down because that's what they require, even though I'm very like, I'll communicate that, it won't be exactly like this. So I'll like write down the premise for them and then tell them where, their brand might make an appearance or something. But like other than that, all the organic posts and my own content is not scripted. Yeah.
Obviously, you would have had to script Dam Ka Keema though, the video that you released.
Oh yeah, the music video. Yeah, that was even though yeah, I guess that video was so like the way that it was created, it was so like out of order. Like first I decided I want to make a short film, and then it became a music video. Then I filmed it. I mean, I directed it and I filmed it um before we made any music for it. So then the music had to be made
Okay.
for the film. And then after that, towards the end, I was like, wait, no, I still want to add more to it. And then I got animators on board and they helped me with the animation because it was live action that I had filmed. And then after that, I decided towards the end that no, this whole time I wanted to be like instrumental and like a silent film almost. And then I was like, no, I wanted to be like a rap or something. And then
Hmm.
so then the lyrics came last, and yeah, they were like I wrote them beforehand. So it was all over the place, but yeah, that was definitely a scripted video that I wrote the lyrics for, and I directed it.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And I think that's also part of an ancient storytelling tradition, which is a storyteller that learns by telling stories rather than,
Yeah.
apprenticing or going somewhere and learning how to do stuff. Watching that
Yeah.
video again this morning, by the way, I suddenly had an image of Reagan, the Australian break dancer, in the middle of it.
Wow. Right.
And I thought, oh, that's what she was supposed to be in, right? Because there's the bit where
Yeah.
the pig and the Smolvi are having a dance off, and
Yeah.
I
She
could
would
kind of
definitely
see her.
fit right in. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So, do you
Um,
revisit your older posts? Have you ever deleted any?
I have not deleted any posts. I've archived some, and that's usually been when like I've archived maybe a couple of them, and that happens whenever there's uh like not that I feel like I don't really get accused a lot of blasphemy or anything, so I don't want to ever like pretend that I do. But whenever there's some kind of news going around about blasphemy, then you never know who's checking socials and things like that. So I think during the some blasphemy case, I archived one. Not that I don't think I've ever created anything blasphemous, but like you just takes one crazy person, right? So
Yeah.
I archived a few posts like that, and then I remember there was some post that I archived during the what was the date? I even forgot. The last year with the army stuff. What was the date that they keep saying? May 11th?
May
March
9th
11th?
or something.
May
I
9th,
don't
May
know. There were
9th, yeah.
so many.
Yeah, yeah. So many dates in a
Yeah.
year. But yeah, so I think during that time I'd archive one, but it's all back. I usually just put them back when some hype dies down. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't think I've deleted a post ever.
So,
And yeah, go on.
no, no, go on.
I was saying, yeah, I do watch my videos. I have like a moment, I think once a month or something, where I start to watch some of my own content, and just to it sounds like I'm really full of it, but I'm not really seeing them as like, oh my God, I made this. It's more
Hmm.
like I guess I'm kind of connecting with my own characters and stuff that they've said that I find funny. So sometimes I look back at that because I often forget a lot of my videos, like what I've said in them.
Yeah.
Um, it happens sometimes where like if I meet someone and they happen to know who I am or something, like a friend or family, they like reference a video, and like for the first few seconds I'll have no idea what they're talking about. So sometimes I do go back and look at it and see what I like and things.
Interesting. When you say
Yeah.
archive, you mean that it's you just take it off public viewing, but it's
Yeah,
is
yeah,
all
yeah.
your stuff backed up somewhere? So if tomorrow, all the internet in the world just died.
You know, it is, but I'm so bad with this. Like I think it's like backed up on the cloud, but also to on different devices. And I'm quite disorganized with this, but it is all somewhere. Like stuff, if I really had to, I don't think I would lose any of the videos, but I don't, there's not exactly one folder where they all are.
Hmm.
So they're across different um storage platforms, I guess.
When you rewatch your old videos, do you ever have the feeling if you are hyperfixating on a particular video, is part of you thinking, I would do this differently now, or I got that word wrong, or there should have been a pause there? Is that happening or?
Um, I feel like um it's it hasn't happened, and that's not because, oh my God, I'm so good. It's just because I think before I post it, I do watch it like a lot, and then I do change.
Mm.
Like you asked about editing,
Yeah.
I've only like edited a video where I feel like not in terms of taking anything out, but like adding something.
Yeah.
Like if I feel like, there's the fuckboy character, if he just adds like this specific word in here, or like, yeah, any afterthought, then I have edited that in. So I feel like I watch it so much before I post it that um I feel like when I feel like I post something when I do feel like quite like happy with it. And that's why sometimes when I rewatch, I'm not getting the feeling of like, oh, I should have said this or that, or maybe the pause would have been different. I don't think that's feeling I get very often. But I think there's been probably times where I've felt like maybe a video could have been shorter. I think that's happened. Because I think when I'm really excited about it, I want to, add as much stuff. And then also in this day and age, it's the whole thing of like, trying to make shorter and shorter and shorter videos. So sometimes when I watch myself, I'm like, oh, like I thought it was fun this way, but I can see how it could have been shorter. So I think the
Oh.
lengthwise, I do feel like sometimes I, you know, do too much. But otherwise, uh, yeah.
And is that drive to go shorter and shorter and shorter, is that driven by an algorithm, or is that a natural evolution that's happened for you as a storyteller?
It definitely has to be the algorithm as well, because I think that just like no matter what you do to, like avoid thinking about those things, it just like naturally just happens because everything else that I'm consuming as well, it's yeah, I think it does play a part because, and I think just also the app itself, like when I started, it used to be I think like 1 minute long videos, and then there was a period where there was IGTV, which was like long form content, and then it became like TikTok slash Reels. So they want you to go shorter, or there was a literal limit. Um, but I think the reason why it wasn't too hard for me to go short was because a lot of my videos before Reels as well were quite short. And it's because the Animoji, like the app, it I can only record like 30 seconds at a time anyway. So I was very used to like packing in whatever I wanted to say in like 30 seconds. And then if I really wanted to say something else, I would make another video and then, stitch them together like a continuation. So I think I was kind of trained to, like say everything I want in 30 seconds. But yeah, I think it's a mix of both things. It's the algorithm plus it's what I like as well. I think short and funny is good and
That's the sweet spot
impactful.
for you. So,
Yeah.
can we discuss your influences? It's okay if you don't consciously have any, but
Yeah.
I think that storytellers are shaped by their environments as much as they reshape their environments in their
Mm-hmm.
work.
Mm-hmm.
So, my formative years were during one channel times, and I imagine you grew up with the internet. So, how do you think
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
storytelling has been shaped by that? What did you consume a lot of growing up?
You know what? I think that when I was growing up, or like when I really started to consume like content on the internet, for me it was a lot of like sketches, like comedy sketches. I used to watch a lot of like Mad TV and all these things. And then like the Chappelle show, like the Dave Chappelle had a show and SNL and all these things. And then I got really heavily into watching stand-up comedy, which I'm still like a huge, like I'm just a nerd with stand
Mhm.
up. So a lot of my favorite comedians like Chappelle was one. Norm Macdonald is like my all-time favorite. And all these guys, I mean, I have a lot of favorites that are also like, one-liner types. Like there's Mitch Hedberg, who's a great stand-up comedian, and he's all about like one-liners.
Okay.
But my absolute favorites have always been like, yeah, I think people who tell stories like Chappelle, like Norm Macdonald, and yeah, I mean, I know it's like uh, he's canceled now, but Louis C.K. was also one of my absolute favorite comedians growing up, and his content is also all like storytelling. So,
Okay.
and then I feel like apart from like just media stuff, I think in my house, like my grandparents, they're all like big storytellers. They love to talk, they love telling stories. Like it's and they're all
Mhm.
really funny as well. So I think that's been a big influence in how I kind of like, tell these stories. Yeah.
Did you ever watch 50-50? Because the Miss reminded me of 50-50.
Yeah, growing up, I definitely watched 50/50 because I feel like my parents would put it on. I need to go rewatch because I don't remember like specific characters. We used to put on 50/50 and Anga and
Hmm.
Tera a lot. I'm sure like
Yeah.
subconsciously that because it's really interesting that when I started, all my characters only spoke English, especially Blue Molly Sab was, I think, kind of even funnier at the time because he would only speak in English. But then I started, obviously, I wanted more people to, see my stuff, and I started to incorporate a lot more Urdu into it.
Yeah.
And I felt like my Urdu at that point compared to now was much weaker for some reason, even though it shouldn't be like. But like there were words and things that I would say that I didn't even know that were like in my brain, but as I would speak, it would just come out. And I feel like that's kind of like if I were to watch Angan Tera and 50/50 right now, I would 100% like remember a lot of stuff, but I just like
Yeah.
don't because I haven't watched in a while. And I feel similarly about Loose Talk because growing up we used to watch Loose Talk a lot
Yeah,
as
of
well.
course. Yeah.
And sometimes, I'll watch it and I'll be like, I mean, not a character that's similar, but I can see, and I would like obviously never can even think of being like more up there, but it's like what
Yeah.
he's doing, I can kind of really relate to it. Like as he's doing it, I feel like, okay, that's
Yeah.
what a person like us does. Like that's what happens to our body when we're doing it. So I'm
So
sure
when I
these
look at
things,
Lucknowi
yeah.
uncle, it's Moin Akhtar to me. I mean, he even looks
Oh, it's
like, yeah.
that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm sure that, watching this stuff growing up has definitely like uh, it's imprinted in my subconscious and it comes out like this.
So I think one of the reasons why your work stands out, because there have been a lot of people who've been trying comedy online and in
Hmm.
person, of course, is because you are so fluently bilingual.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
clearly आप तहजीब याफ्ता घराने में पली हैं, if I
जी
may
जी.
be so, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so your cadences, the cadences of your speech, your vocabulary, everything is just pitch perfect. I also have to ask because I'm a book nerd. Did you read a lot
Hmm.
when you were growing up?
Yeah. I used to be like a big book nerd, and I would my dad has like I feel like we always joke about this at home that we have more books than we have like any other thing at home, like furniture or anything. And it's
That's
like
great.
um so growing up I read a lot of his books, which actually I don't recommend children to just read anything. But I was reading all his books, and then at my school, so I was like a terrible student, but the our librarian was always really happy with me, and she would tell my mom that it's okay, like you're worried now, but she reads a lot. And so I read a lot, and I was really interested in reading. And then at some point, I think it was around the time, not the internet. It was more like when I started to become like formally educated as a
Mm.
university student. That's when I kind of like felt like there was this reader's block, like a really heavy one, and I could not really read. And it's like I actually got diagnosed with ADHD last year, which is like a focusing, like it's
Yeah.
a lot of different things, but a lot of it is focusing. And I feel like I just couldn't, stick to reading or completing a book, which was making me like internally upset. So I would just like stop trying. And then obviously, if you couple that with like how the internet is, right? Like I'm always doom scrolling, and then it kind of became my
Mm.
work, and then watching shows and movies, and I've just haven't like it's been one of my goals every year I write this down that we have to get back into reading.
Mm.
And unfortunately, so far it's been really hard. Yesterday I started another book. It's called Ishmael by Daniel Quinn, and I made progress. So hopefully that's going to um be good for me. Now that I'm
That's
aware that my what my issues are, I'm gonna take it slow and get back into reading. But yeah.
yeah. I mean, I wish you the best. Thank you for sharing that. That must be really hard.
Hmm. Um, no, it's good. It's just good to like know why that happened. And I think it naturally happens as well. Like for example, my brother who was never super into reading, uh, it
Mm.
was it was funny because the kind of time where I found it difficult to keep on reading, he started and he like reads a lot. He reads every day. He's really into it. So I think it
Mm.
also just depends. I think with how people's brains are wired. Um, I yeah,
Yeah.
I really hope to get back into it because I've never felt like anytime where I was reading a book, I've never felt like, oh, I wasted X amount of hours just reading a book. That's never been a thought. But when I'm on the internet or watching something, it's always a thought that I wasted this many hours, even though information is still going into my brain. So it's like
Yeah.
I just need to make better choices and start reading more for sure.
Okay, so then I can cancel out my next question, which was, do you think that books are, writing a book is like basket weaving now? It's kind of pointless because who needs a basket and who needs a book?
Oh no, no, no. I think it like even though I'm so like kind of disconnected these days from reading, like in the past couple of years, every time I see like a book shop or a stall or any kind of books or a house with books, I'm so like, or when I see people buying books, like my favorite thing is when a random, like even like influencer will be like, okay, I've bought these three books, or they make a recommendation, and I'm like, okay, there's still people out there who are like my age who are still like reading books and buying books, and it genuinely like it makes me really happy. I don't think that should ever stop. And I realized it didn't just happen with reading. For me, it happened with writing as well, because I used to write a lot. And then in the middle, when
Yeah,
I was doing stand up for a bit, the writing came back. Like, I mean, like physically writing, and
yeah,
but there was a huge gap in like between school and then, me becoming an adult and me not writing anymore, like creatively. Whereas when I was growing up, it was kind of like the only form of expression, and I would just do it the way I make videos now. So if anything was going on, and I was like always looking for something to write about, and I used to be like really passionate about it. And I don't know what happened. It was the same thing, writer's block, exact same thing where I just couldn't write anymore. And that's still the case, but I realized that yesterday actually when I was done reading the book, I was noting some things down, like just like a to-do thing. And it had been so long that I've just been like, since I had like held a pen and like actually filled out a few pages, that
yeah,
like my hand was cramping a bit. And I was like, first of all, this is so embarrassing that my hand is cramping with a pen in my hand. But secondly, it made me feel so much more connected
yeah,
to myself in the page as opposed to when I type on a computer. So I
yeah,
do wonder how much of the writer's block is just coming from me not holding the pen and like just um typing. Because I feel like when I type, there's still a disconnect because I'm not able to fully connect with the. I feel like it's a really specifically me problem where if I open a laptop, it's just me and I'm trying to write.
mm,
I still feel like you're not like I'm not being 100% myself. And I know that comes in like the rewriting and stuff, but it's like
yeah,
when I write with a pen, I feel like I'm instantly kind of like, okay, this is me and I'm holding a pen and I'm writing this down. With the laptop, I don't know what it is. It feels like I'm always like, at least for the first page or so, I'm like performing as somebody who's writing, as opposed to like just being me. If that makes any sense. I don't know
No, it
if
makes
that does.
sense. And I'm not sure that's a you problem. I think they've done studies on the way that writers' brains
Oh,
light
is it?
up when they're using keyboards and when they're using actual writing
Oh, really?
implements.
It has to be. I
Um,
was actually thinking about this yesterday. I was like, so weird how I have to really think about, I'm really like I don't know if disconnect is the right word. It's more like I'm kind of pretending for the first bit of writing when I'm writing on a laptop, and with the pen, it's just like instant access to my brain for some reason.
yeah, that's that. I think that's
Yeah.
how it works. Someone
Yeah.
just gave me a tablet with a
Right.
pen and it
Yeah.
converts writing to text.
Oh God.
And
Yeah.
it just seems to be some sort of unholy, Frankenstein of I don't know what,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to adapt. So I saw in an earlier post that you at one point you compared your father's diary to your diary. First, your dad
Hmm.
seemed really smart based on what he was writing, and
He is a
sec-
genius, actually. He's a true genius. Yeah.
do you still keep a diary? Have you given up keeping a diary, or is it all the notes app now?
So I have my whole life had so many diaries with like the first two pages. The
Okay.
start of the year or like middle of the year where I'm like, this is the year where we do everything. And then there's to do this and this is how I'm feeling. And then that diary will just be forgotten. So I have many diaries, but I don't like keep a diary. And the phone is really bad because that's just like my notes app, and it's all over the place. I don't know So I need to start actually keeping a diary. I do think it'll be really helpful. And it's funny that you're asking me this because yesterday was the day that I decided to start. So, and my dad is completely different. So his diaries are dating back to when he was a kid, and he like does an everyday thing, everyday to-dos,
Wow.
every day this is happening, and then these are the things he has to get done, and these are the goals, and so it's like yeah, years and years and years of diaries that he keeps. So I think it's
Wow.
I didn't see the value of that earlier, and I don't know yet the benefits of like journaling, for example. But I did think it would be interesting for me to just, kind of look back and because I have no I'm kind of like I have time blindness in a way. So like if you asked
Mm.
me like a few months ago or like a year ago, where was I at mentally, it would be hard for me to like I mean, I could, have a look through my phone and see what was up and see, oh, that is what was going on. But I think it would be interesting to just have a diary and see, oh, this is what I was doing on that day. Remember one diary, now that you're mentioning it, that it was some rant about how I don't know, I was a child literally, but I think I'd learned that about adoption laws in Pakistan, and I don't know if it's accurate. It was something about how the inheritance is kind of different if you're an adopted child or something. And I
Yeah.
remember writing a lot about that in a diary of mine. And I do think, yeah, it must have definitely helped me in writing stories and things like that because I always linked it to like it definitely made characters out of that. Like anything issue that was bothering me. I remember the adoption thing. There was one Saddam Hussein's hanging when that happened. I remember I wrote a lot about it, and it was always then I would connect it to some character or the other. So that's interesting. I do think it probably did play a part in
So the
the.
logical place to go from there is, have you ever thought about writing a book?
No, because I actually think I don't think I'm a good writer. I think I had the potential when I was younger, and I
Mm.
think that because of the years of like the writing and reading block, I think that it's one of the things I'm quite insecure about actually, because I don't know if it's anything to do with ADHD, but growing up, I felt really smart with, how much I read or how much I wrote and what my vocabulary was like. But I think as I'm growing older, it's like becoming worse and worse. And I feel like the reason I don't know if I'd be able to write a book is purely because I don't think I'm that skilled at like writing itself or like writing beautifully or in a way that like would be interesting for people to read. I'm not sure if I have that skill. Um, which is maybe why I, make content or write for stand up or like, would make a film or something. But like, yeah, I think I would have to feel a little bit more secure in the actual skill of writing before I would attempt to write a book.
Fair enough. I was having a conversation with my partner yesterday who was also very excited that I was going to be speaking to you. And he said
Nice.
that you were a unique merging of form and function, and that you could only
Hmm.
be doing what you were doing in the way that you're doing it. So I should not try to impose my literary snobbishness on, on you. So that was the
Um,
best that I could do.
that's sweet. No, I mean, I wish I had the ability, to write a book, but and I can't imagine the amount of, like hard work and patience and like the kind of I think the discipline is also what I'm missing, not just the vocab. It's like also the
Mm.
discipline. And yeah, I
So I
think that's
think that
what it is.
I'm sorry if I sound like a book proselytizer, a book Smolvi, but I mean,
Right.
what is a book, right? What is a book? You don't
Yeah.
need a vocabulary. For me, it's all storytelling, and
Yeah.
each story finds its own form. So
Yeah.
I personally don't think that one should restrict oneself to a particular form, but just go with the flow. And you seem to
Yeah.
have that naturally. So I'm gonna take you towards something completely different now, which is
Sure.
monetization.
Oh,
Monetization. See, I can't even
monetization.
say it because it's such a strange concept.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you prefer to be called? A storyteller, a content creator, an artist? And if one aspect of you is a content creator, how did
Yeah.
that journey get to monetization?
Monetization.
Monetization.
Um, I think I personally see myself as an artist, and I do think that like what I'm doing is an art form, like creating characters. And yeah, it's not a book or like an animated show yet or something, but it is got all the, the essence of that in the sense that there's characters and there's stories and there's like so yeah, I do think and like storytelling. So I think I'm an artist and I this is an art form. And I guess because it's on the platform that it is, and because it's in this day and age and of my age and my audience's age, I do think that it's also like, I guess it falls under content creation because it's not, I think purely because of the medium and the platform, I guess.
Hmm.
So I think I'm an artist, a content creator, and yeah, I don't know why I feel like there's nothing wrong with the being a content creator.
Of
I
course
just
there
feel like
isn't.
the yeah, I know but I feel like the terms content creator slash influencer are kind of like you know, I think there's some negativity attached to it these days, and I think it's like firstly, like
Yeah.
the two are very different, but like with content creators, I feel like the actual term, I don't know what it really means because it's like I am creating content technically. Like if you look at, if
Yeah.
this is an app and this is content in terms of like this is a 30-second video, this it counts as content. And that 30 seconds could be anything. It could be like me packing a suitcase, a video of that, and that could be content too. Or it could be me telling this like really detailed story and that's content too. And it feels like so when people say content creator, it just feels like it could be anything, which I think makes it a little bit like I feel like when I think about my work, it's like really personal to me, and it's like it feels like a really general kind of term. So
Yeah.
that's why it doesn't sit well. But yeah, I guess I'm a content creator and artist is how I would
So
say.
I think
And
that
yeah.
the word content creator and influencer, what you were saying about being considered,
Hmm.
somehow less art
Yeah.
than other forms of art is, and I think you're right, and I think it's sort about it's a sort of classist word salad because
Hmm.
traditionally it was the upper classes who did things that were artistic. So because they had so much time, they could
Yeah.
do, learn painting
Yeah.
and musical composition and
Yeah.
whatever or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
you could do when you had lots of time, and it was a leisure luxury activity. But now
Yeah.
everybody is doing it. So ye kya baat hui? So let's put them down
Huh.
a little bit,
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
in their places. But how do you monetize content considering both your anonymity? For example,
Yeah.
you can't promote beauty products because you don't show your face,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also your choice of pseudonym. So I don't see you doing a tie-in with Al Huda anytime soon,
Yeah.
Swineryy promoting Al Huda classes or
Yeah. That would be that would be something.
yeah,
But
I mean,
um it's been I think it's like a blessing and a curse. I guess there's like two answers to this question. One is the fact that yeah, it's definitely um harder to make money through monetizing my page if I'm since I'm anonymous, and not just anonymous, it's just like it's not even a full body, like the character just has a head. So
hmm,
it's like it's definitely like brands wouldn't approach me if they know they have a product that I won't be able to like show uh or like use on me or something. So I guess the con to that is that I just make less money maybe than other content creators who um are not anonymous and they can promote anything. Um so I guess that's one thing. And then the way I navigate it is like I sorry, I have to ask you to repeat your question. I'm sorry. Got
so your
distracted.
pseudonym, but considering that you chose Swinery, how does
Yeah.
that impact your ability to earn
Oh
from
yeah, for
your
the longest time I actually didn't think I would ever get like be able to monetize my page. But it was actually not so long after Swinery kind of blew up. It was like a Canadian like a what's it called? Well, we call it Muslim shower, right, in Pakistan. But I've been trying to use the right term for it, which
ah
is like jet spray.
oh,
So
someone
they're
called it
like,
a douche the other day. So
oh, is that would that be
yeah, so
correct?
I
Is it really?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Well,
they were just calling me a Muslim douche and I didn't understand, but
right.
as some
Um,
plumber.
um, but yeah, it's yeah, the jet spray, I guess. Or the douche, or the
Jet spray.
Muslim
Okay.
shower. The Muslim douche.
Uh,
That it was a Canadian brand that did like portable jet sprays. And I think that was the first like my branded content. So they were always
That's
like brands who were
fantastic.
kind of, yeah, and it was really funny because I think it was the fuckboy character, and he was, yeah, it was funny. So then I kind of got really, optimistic about kind of, and the brand was really good in the sense that they didn't want to control any of the script or anything. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool that, maybe I'll attract brands that are more like fun, and they understand that it's not going to be like a typical ad, and they're like genuine, people who appreciate my content, and
Yeah.
their brand just aligns with it. So then there are a few brands that um came forward that were really good like that. For example, like I remember Durex. I did a couple of videos with Durex, so they were pretty open to me making any kind of content. So that was nice. Because I did that with Blue Molly Saab. So Blue Molly
Oh.
Saab and Durex were like a funny combo. And
Okay.
yeah, I've been quite lucky because I didn't like, you would expect that maybe most brands in Pakistan would kind of be like, okay, we don't want to associate with Swineryy. And I think that has been the case for sure.
Hmm.
And I don't blame them. I don't really think it's because of the name so much. I think it's more also because my page has been very like no holds barred, like in terms of swearing and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think in Pakistan they get a bit this thing about, like obviously the alien is swearing away, then how does their
Yeah.
brand come into that? But I've been quite lucky though because like in the past I've collaborated with Sprite, and they've been very like make anything you want. So they actually specifically wanted alien videos. Their
Yeah.
only thing was like maybe when he literally says "bhenchod," you could just maybe make it to like "bhench," like just
Yeah.
cut it till
Yeah.
the. So that but I appreciated that as well because it's not like they were saying the alien should be anything different. It's just that
Yeah.
maybe not the full word. So they understood that people who like watching alien videos wouldn't enjoy the video so much if it had like no swearing at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was lucky in that sense, and I think a lot of um brands slowly got it. Like they also
Mm.
understood that like each character is kind of like different on Swinery. So brands that were okay with um Lina Aunty, for example, promoting something, they didn't necessarily see that that was associating with like the alien, for example. So that was kind of interesting that a brand would be open to like one character but not the other. Um, so I think it's been like a bit of a different path than other creators, but I've been able to monetize though. Um, Maybe not as much, but definitely, yeah,
So
hasn't
I
been
think
hasn't
also there
been
must have
bad.
been a
Yeah,
kind of freedom in not thinking about monetization from the beginning. I mean, obviously, when you started this, you weren't thinking, oh
yeah,
gosh, I'm going to make lots of money getting people to,
not at all. Yeah,
have me endorse their products. And
yeah.
in a way, what you've done is sort of reshape the environment. And you've also proved
Hmm.
that there can be people with critical thinking skills working in advertising in Pakistan, which used to be
Yeah,
quite rare. So, good job.
yeah.
Uh, अच्छा
Um,
स्वाइनरी आपका जो pseudonym
yeah.
का है if you
Hmm.
so I think I don't know how you intended it. I remember hearing it when you did this in April 2018. I remember actually because I played it for my kids and they're like, Mama, what's wrong with you? And I said, you don't understand. ये
Yeah.
हमारे दिल की आवाज है. And I still think that it's an existential question.
Right.
And in
Wait.
a way, it's
Hmm.
the driving story behind all the frame stories. Why I'm
Hmm.
haram as a
Yeah.
woman, as a girl. Was that how
Yeah.
you intended it? Did you know that then? Is that not how you intended
Um,
it?
that is not how I intended it when I made, you're talking about, I mean, the first big video, the
Yeah,
first
the very
ever
first.
Swinery
Yeah.
video. Um, that was before I even thought about having a page, before I'd even, like, it wasn't even for a page. It was just a video that I made. I keep mentioning this story in any interviews because it's like, it's still, like, I love the fact that in the first video you can actually hear like my friends in the back and they're laughing. And that was
Mm.
true for a lot of the earlier videos because none of them were made for any page. It was like in the moment, I was already doing a lot of different characters for my friends, not recorded at all, just like on the daily, I would just be eating their heads. And at some point they
Mm.
would get like even frustrated with me because it was impossible for me to like break character sometimes. And where I worked was quite far from my home. So on the way back, like we would sometimes all come back together after. So these are my work friends, like coworker friends. And
Okay.
there was a long drive back home, and I would like not be able to break character. And I would be doing these characters, and then at one day, a friend of mine, he like from the same group, he got this phone, the iPhone, and he had this Animoji feature. And I remember I was in the middle of, saying all this crap, and then he just handed me the phone, and he's like, you should, like the way you just give a toddler like an iPad or something.
Yeah.
That's how he passed it to me. He's like, you should mess around with this. And then that's when I just saw the pig for the first time, and I just did it in the moment because I was already in that character. And so you can hear them laughing in the back. So it wasn't intentional in that way. Like
Hmm.
I didn't intend for it to be such a question that technically resonates with so many people. But the reason I think that it is partially and was intentional is because I think it was a question that was like in me for like my my whole life, and it
Yeah.
just kind of like came out, and not just in me but in everyone that I observed, right? Like
Hmm.
especially growing up in Pakistan and stuff. I think this question applies to so many groups and so many situations in life, and
Yeah.
it also is interesting that like when I think about the question, it's not even like it's asked in a like I'm sad or I'm a victim way. It's very
Right.
like I always say that the pig is the like the what's the word? Like a true minority in Pakistan, right? Like it's the
Hmm.
pig. It's like everyone agrees that the pig sucks, right? Like for
Hmm.
Muslims, but it's like he hasn't lost his like innate like haraminess. Like he's still like a harami guy, even though he's like the most persecuted. So
Hmm.
the essence of that character, I think it was always in me, and the question was always in me, and I it just came out, but it wasn't like technically intentional, as in I'm gonna put this up and this is a question that people should think about or anything. It was just for myself.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Great. So the intentionality was to entertain, and in entertaining, you told a fundamental truth, and I think
yeah,
that's pretty much
pretty
the
much.
alchemy of
Yeah,
storytelling. Do you think
yeah.
that humor is a kind of rage?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. That is a really interesting question. Um, And I think that a lot of comedians um would I think rage can definitely drive it. If not rage, some sort of um, like either what's the word? Like
Response to
I think it
injustice,
can be.
imbalance,
Yeah, it could be like some sort of burning kind of, you know,
indignation.
question. Yeah, yeah. And I think it's not always like it's not always that there's also this whole idea that comedians are like inside the most like sad or angry people. I don't think that's always true either, but I think
Hmm.
humor in general, yeah, there can definitely be different like driving forces, and in the end it's kind of what comes out of you for some people is humor. And um but yeah, I think it can depend. For like sometimes what I make might be coming from like a place of like I'm hurt, I'm angry, or I have a lot of feelings in me, and this is how it's naturally coming out.
Yeah.
And other times I could be just as funny, but I'm just coming from a purely like silly place as well. So um I think it's a bit of both, but I think sometimes what can happen with comics and comedians is that it's not just rage for like what's happening in the world or some kind of injustice or anything like that. It's just sometimes how you observe and how you like process feelings in general. So it could be feelings about something else, or like the way it
Yeah.
manifests sometimes is that you're just um it's not even that you're funny, it's just the way that your brain is wired or the way that you observe things, as
Hmm.
opposed to somebody else could just be different because of that's like our natural response to maybe like feeling a lot of other things, you know? If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I
No,
rambled
it
there, but
does.
like,
No, you're
yeah.
not. You're talking about one organism encountering another organism and some sort of exchange taking place, which is, something that's
Mm-hmm.
true across all levels of life. And I was
Mm-hmm.
actually going to ask you if your impulse to mimic always came from the same place, and you just answered that without my asking it. So, and I was thinking when I made that question specifically about how when I look at Smolvi, I get the sense
Mm-hmm.
of a desire to preserve his innocence before the world gets to him. And
Yeah.
but with someone like Lina Aunty, is it Lina Aunty or Bina Aunty? I'm sorry, I
It's
can't even.
Lina.
It's
Yeah,
Lina,
it's
so
Lina.
B
Yeah.
and L sort of melts into my brain. So, but with her, it seems like a different impulse, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for
yes.
sure. I think,
So, no, go
yeah,
on.
go on.
No, I forgot
No,
what
it's
I
just
was going to
interesting
say.
what you said. It's just interesting. I feel like, for me personally, I feel like it's like going back to your earlier question, I feel like I've definitely like observed about myself that way before Swineryy also, I used to, there used to be things like when I was growing up, I remember there was like a field trip that we went to with school, and then I had been like really upset that day, like, or the day before. I don't know what was going on, but I was really upset. And then I remember my mom had told the teachers, like, just be like, just like look after her. She was like really upset or something. And then, but when we came back from the field trip, I remember my teachers told my mom, okay, she was just like so energetic. She was so happy. She was just like, laughing her ass off and making all her friends laugh. And my mom was really surprised because I was like, quite the opposite the day before.
Mm.
And obviously I was a total child. I think I was like maybe 10, if not like younger. And I think that it is true for a lot of people that like, it's not, I wouldn't call it like a suppression of emotions or anything. It's more like the way you express any kind of feeling can sometimes become like, just through humor or like entertaining people and stuff. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I think within each comedian though, like it's not always the case. Like it can happen though. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, comic की बात होती है ना, who you
Yeah,
are
of course.
sort of plays a
Yeah.
role in it.
Yeah.
Um, I was gonna ask you a question from somebody called Shiza. So Shiza had a
Okay.
question for you, and her question
Nice.
was, "Who's your favorite character to play? Fuckboy or DHA Auntie or the Molvi?"
Mm-hmm. My favorite character to play, I think honestly it just depends on my mood and what form and shape I take that day. Like sometimes I'm feeling like the alien, and I feel like the alien I do have a lot of fun with, or in the past,
Mm.
especially when he was like coming up, I had a lot of fun with him because he's one character where I feel like I've gotten away with saying pretty much anything, like anything that's like I feel like he's one of my most like ridiculous characters, and I think he's really enjoyable to watch also, like for me. So I have to say I love the alien. The fuckboy comes very like, oh, I mean it's not a good thing, but he comes very like naturally to me to like to like act as him and stuff. I think,
Yeah.
and I love them also. I sound like such an idiot, but I love all my characters, and I love playing them, and I feel like it's so different each time that I do them. Like when I'm doing Blue Monster, I'm like in such a different zone than I am when I'm like performing as like Lina Aunty or something. So it's different, I guess, for each day. But I think the most ridiculous I've gotten has to be with the alien, and I think that's why it would be like one of my top faves.
Great. I also now I'm really glad actually that you said what you said about fuckboy, because towards the end I had a question and I was
Yeah.
going to preface it by saying I hope you're not offended by what I'm about to say. And that was
Oh
that
no.
having immersed myself in your audiovisual online presence in
Yeah.
preparation for this conversation, I came to the conclusion that the character
I
you
know.
most resemble is
Yeah.
fuckboy.
Oh no. I hate that I get this a lot, and I think what I think is that I'm trying to, when I talk to people as Swinery, there's something in
Yeah.
me which I still have my guard up a little bit in terms of like what I sound like, and I'm anonymous, and etc. And I feel like my go-to becomes the fuck boy. And I've
Yeah.
noticed this in different interviews or podcasts as well that I'm sounding like the fuck boy, even though I feel like
Yes.
in my daily life I don't. And I think that there's two things. One, I don't know why the fuck boy comes out when I'm talking to someone in an interview. And secondly, if I've been told that if I genuinely have allergies or if I'm sneezing, then I really start sounding like him. So I was really like I was sneezing a lot this morning. So I feel like on those days I definitely sound like him.
Yeah.
But I hate that that I do. But
Why? I mean, fuckboy is adorable because you know what?
no, I don't
Fuckboy is
hate
a
it. I don't hate it.
traveler.
Yeah.
And you're a
Yeah.
traveler, right? Because you're traveling through different situations and different conversations. So that's actually the ideal skin to inhabit when you're in the
But I
middle
feel
of a
like it's such a
conversation.
disappointment that like the person who like because I feel like I target him the most like with my content. Like he's always like I feel like I make him sound like the most idiotic out of everyone. And it's a little bit disappointing like when I show up and I sound exactly like him.
Yeah,
Um
no, but you're doing
so
something really smart there. You're lowering expectations for yourself and for other people, which is
yeah,
again really
I
intelligent.
guess.
And you know, he's fuckboy, so I think he's doing all right. Don't worry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean I'm hoping it at least makes me sound hot. If like if nothing else he's supposed
So
to do.
speaking of hot, you did a little tiny little thing on I went to decent stationers and I had my eyebrows laminated.
Yeah.
And so I live just down the road from one of the decent stationers. It's a chain actually, decent stationers.
Really?
There's a few of them. There's also decent balloons in PCHS. But
Oh my God, I didn't. And it's all
yeah,
the same
so
people, or is it like different
no, I
decent?
don't think so. For some reason, I think that decent is just a it's something aspirational
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
Pakistani society. Everyone wants
100%.
to
I
be
think decent
decent, right?
stationery. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And every time when I do visit Karachi, still I make it a point to go to decent stationers. I don't know how I got
It's too
there.
good. Yeah, I think it's too good. Decent
Yeah,
stationery is too good.
yeah. So how is Shazia's daughter doing? And when you're building a character, do you need to know the arc of their lives from beginning to end before, or do you catch them
Um,
mid-flight?
Sometimes I catch them mid-flight. Sometimes I like think about their journey so far. But with Shadia's daughter, what the thing was that I wanted just like the why I'm haram question. I think with Shadia's daughter, I also wanted it to apply to like everybody. So
Mm,
I always like kind of made more and more room for her to be like everyone. Like I wanted like somebody who is um for example, somebody who's for example totally like left wing to be like, oh my God, I've been through this whole thing and I'm exactly like Shadia's daughter because I get picked on, blah blah blah. And then I wanted someone who was on the opposite of that to still feel like they can get criticized the same way because we're all kind of
mm,
like just Shadia's daughters. So it was hard for me to just pick a character and be like, this is exactly what happened to her and it's only this, right? Because I
okay.
didn't want to alienate people from like being Shadia's daughter, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why sometimes like you'll be like, oh my God, this character, like everything is happening to her. She's going from like being too overweight to like married, divorced, not married. Maybe she's queer, maybe she's not
Mm,
posh enough, and maybe she is like she's not wealthy enough, but then also she's still in this circle, and it's like she's everything. And I
mm,
think that's why it's been hard to um kind of because there's not I just don't have a face or like like a exact character when I think of Shadia's daughter like herself, like
yeah, and
because I
that's
feel
really
like it
smart
should
the
be
way you've
everyone.
done that because we only see her through
Yeah,
other people's eyes, right? So she's observed.
yeah,
We see her through observation, which is a fantastic technique.
yeah.
And
And I
can
feel like
we?
she's also not, yeah, go on.
No, no, you go on, please.
Yeah, I feel like she's also not like oh bichari all the time because sometimes
Mm,
Lina Aunty will say what Shahzia's daughter has said to her, and it's like sometimes that's not pleasant either. So it's like um she's still like a human being, not like a total victim of everything and everybody, but yeah, just not like a defined character with like a defined kind of journey. um,
Yeah.
because I wanted more and more people to kind of relate to it. That was one character where I felt it was more like intentional, as opposed to the pig. It was more like there's because and I used to do like this mother-in-law character earlier. Like she had gray hair and she was like this mother-in-law, and she was actually Lina Auntie's mother-in-law. So
Okay.
the thought behind that was that she's actually done to Lina Auntie what Lina Auntie is doing to Shazia's daughter. So that
Mm.
kind of shows the whole, like loop, like it's a never-ending
Yeah.
kind of problem. Yeah.
Okay. But you didn't stick with that character for long, did you?
No, I didn't. I feel like what happened was, um, to be honest, what happened was I started feeling like I remember feeling this. It's she started kind of sounding like Blue Molly Saab. And then I had to take a
Mm.
break from her because I was like, they're being too similar in terms of the actual voice and like the tone and
Mm.
stuff. And then I think a couple of other characters were launched, and then I kind of just forgot about her. But I still do get requests to kind of bring her back because she was like really savage, and also she was only targeting Lina Auntie, which everyone loved. So I don't know why I didn't bring her back, because there was a lot of potential there. But yeah, I do get asked to bring her back sometimes.
So, from a literary perspective, I can understand why you wouldn't want to bring her back, and instinct
Okay.
wise, because to bring her back, you would be removing the gaze of judgment from Lena Auntie, and you would be excusing her behavior and
Yeah.
diminishing her viciousness in a way. So, it wouldn't work in my head if I was approaching it as
Yeah.
a, but I don't know what
Yeah,
you're
that makes
thinking.
sense.
So Blue Molly is fantastic, but can we talk briefly about Red Molly? I
Yeah,
think he popped
please.
up once, and then he
Yeah.
humanized Blue Molly because we suddenly had a glimpse of what lives under Blue Molly's bed. And then there's Radio Silence, but in
Yeah.
your music video, there's a legion of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think, in a dictatorship,
Yeah.
for example, the you can control a population of hundreds of millions because they over time they internalize the dictator. So we all
Yeah.
become the dictator and we all
Yeah.
become the Molvi.
Yeah.
So tell me about this red Molvi. Where is he? Does he live in all of us? Is he invisible? What's
I'm
going
so
on?
glad that someone has not just asked, but someone's even like noticed that Red Molly Sub did make an appearance on Swinery, because there was that one video, and then it was like, he was never mentioned before, and he didn't
Yeah.
ever appear afterwards till the music video. So I think that so I'd been making Blue Moisa for a while till then, and Blue Moisa is like, I love him. He's very
Yeah.
like, obviously what he says is like, a lot of times I, for example, in my personal life would never take him seriously. I would disagree with
Mm.
all his opinions and thoughts, but he's like any other man to me. He's not like, oh my God, this is a Maulvi Saab. So he's like
Yeah.
extra in any way. I feel like he's also like I find him really lovable and sweet, and I kind of like feel for him because he's, in a lot of the videos, he would be, for example, you would catch him kind of like singing, and then he would like
Yeah.
correct himself and be like, oh, I was just checking the acoustics of the room, or like, I'm
Mm.
just like halak saaf kar raha hu, or whatever. So it's like, or so he has all these desires, and some of the references he would make like about WWE wrestlers, like he knows all of this like stuff,
Yeah.
right? He knows a lot of like pop culture, and he's always like on top of it with the news and like things like that. He'll comment on like um the Prince William, I don't know, being cut off from the family, whatever it is.
Yeah.
He's so like involved, but it's like, isn't your job to like, I don't know, be in a room somewhere like making everyone pray, like what's going on? So he's very like human to me, and he just has a lot of like regular human desires in his heart, but he's like overruled, like his brain is overruled with all this, like all these teachings, right?
Mm.
So and I think what I wanted to show was that it comes from basically the red Maulvi Saab, and the fear of the red Maulvi Saab, that was this like,
Mm.
maybe he taught him as a child or even as a young adult, but the like you can kind of see the conditioning of Blue Maulvi Saab when you see red Maulvi Saab, because red Maulvi Saab is
Yeah.
like really strict. There's like consequences. He like hates what Blue Maulvi Saab is doing. And then you're like, Blue Maulvi Saab isn't really even doing anything, like
No.
in my eyes, Blue Maulvi Saab hasn't done anything wrong. But
Yeah.
Red Maulvi Saab is like, everything he does, like he speaks, everything is wrong with him. So I feel like
Yeah.
in a way, it's similar to the Lina Aunty and her mother-in-law thing, because it's like
Yeah.
it's just like he's criticized the same way, and that's why he's so critical as well.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah, Red Molly Saab is just, that guy. Then you can really see in Blue Molly Saab that, like, you know, these are the fears and this is where it all comes from.
Yeah.
Um and the Red Molly Saab also then, to me, like, is the like, I don't feel for him what I feel for Blue Molly Saab, right? Like, I don't like the Red Molly
No,
Saab. And I
you
feel like
shouldn't. The
in
guy's
the
a jerk.
yeah. And I feel like in the music video, I think that's why I chose for, like, I didn't like Blue Molly Saab and the pig are together in kind of being chased by the Red Molly Saab in a way.
Yeah.
And because Blue Molly Saab is not a part of that mob.
Yeah.
Um, and at the end of the day, it kind of was to show that, okay, the pig and the Blue Molly Saab are in the same boat when we know when shit really hits the fan. Um,
Yeah.
and that's how I feel about a lot of things in Pakistan, like politically. And I feel like, it can be a metaphor for many things. Like, at the end of the day, women and our allies, or when it comes to, like, minorities, like, there's like Shias and Ahmadis and Sunnis and everyone. Like, it's like at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat, and we can, like, criticize each other, and we're too different from each other. But when shit really hits the fan, it's all of us getting the axe, right? So I feel like,
Yeah.
in a way, that's kind of what it shows, to put Blue Monisab and the pig together. Um, and yeah, the Red Monisab is basically the mob, and I think
Yeah.
it's not so much what he looks like. I think he represents the mentality of the mob, and the kind of, like, pure, I don't know what it is, like, intolerance that he kind of represents. So I think
He,
that is it. Yeah.
yeah. No, I think that you've explained really well what was happening subconsciously,
Hmm.
perhaps even in those acts of
Yeah.
creation. And would it be accurate to say that in a way he symbolizes Pakistan's red line? And what have
Hmm.
you learned is Pakistan's red line in terms of what you've produced and the responses that you've got to it?
Initially, when I was writing the story for the music video and directing it, I, like, very initially, when I was thinking about the premise, I think I was thinking about Pakistan. But then I also thought about, he's not just representing Pakistan, though. I think it could be like a global thing. I think it's like the the same thing could be applied if we stretched it to, like, how freedom of speech is, like, right now with the genocide, and how what we thought was freedom of speech wasn't really freedom of speech at all. So
Yeah.
the like, I feel like, in many ways, America and its policies in Israel, they are the Red Molly Sab too, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not so much a Pakistani Muslim thing anymore. It's like more like, um I think it's like people who hold power over you. Um I think he represents that. But definitely, like, yeah, on a personal level, it's been like, for me, it was like the things in Pakistan that I feel like I feel like I'm privileged in many ways, but I feel like all of us, regardless of privilege, there is an element of fear that is in some shape or form there,
Yeah.
like, at least if you're in the cities, I think. And for me, it could be like, um safety, right? Which I think for men and women is kind of, they're equally in Karachi, at least. And it's like, me as a woman, me as a whatever, like, sorry, I'm getting really distracted with my thoughts, by the way. I have to tell you.
No, I
Um,
can pop in and talk nonsense for a minute anytime you need a break.
yeah, yeah. So I think I just mean that it's in some shape or form, we've all been living with some kind of fear. For me, it could be safety. For me, it could be like, something like, oh, tomorrow maybe the army is going to be like, what's all this content, or
Yeah.
it could be a religious group that's like, what's all this, or it could be just me on the road as a woman, right? So there's like three,
Yeah.
four things that I'm constantly, on some level, anxious or scared about. And
Yeah.
it has everything to do with the state, right? Like, because that's where I live, and that's that's where I don't feel safe. And then for somebody else, it could be like even someone more privileged than me could have a different fear, but the fear is there in pretty much everyone. And I feel like that's why a lot of the times, a lot of times women especially get this, like they get this criticism from Pakistanis a lot where they're like, oh, if a girl, like a Pakistani girl moves anywhere abroad where it's like safer, um, they're like, oh, bas bahar jaake you like lose all your morals and shit. This is something we hear a lot, right? Like,
Mm.
and I feel like it's not that other places have anything special. It's like, I think that this like generalized fear disorder that is in everyone is just kind of like you kind of let go of that a little bit because it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I feel like this has nothing to do with your question. What was
No,
your
no,
question?
it's all, everything is connected.
Yeah.
You're talking about the universal and the specific, and that's the paradox of specificity. And
Hmm.
being specific about a fear in using Pakistan and the fear of the hardline Maulvi to humanize
Yeah.
ordinary Pakistanis also makes
Yeah.
it universal, because that fear of what if someone comes to my house and shoots me, or is waiting in my car, or this and that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is universal. And you've managed to
Yeah.
evoke that by being specific with the
Yeah.
Maulvi thing, because we can't see ourselves clearly,
Yeah.
but we can see other people clearly. I think that's what
Yeah.
you were trying to say.
Um, yes. And even if I wasn't, that's like a way better explanation of like, but yeah, basically the red moisab does represent the fear or like the ongoing this thing that we all have.
Yeah.
There's some kind of looming, and I'm talking about even when we were growing up, like I think especially people in my generation, like we kind of forget that growing up, it was like that was the time where all the bombs were going off and all
Yeah.
the like that was a real time that we grew up in where our parents were like, okay, I guess you can go to the wherever bowling alley, but we knew that it could actually be blown up that day. Like we don't know, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's not so much ke, oh, uh like I am, you know, wait, I need to like collect my thoughts a bit. I feel like the present day fear is there of like, for example, intolerant people, and I'm not going to say like just Malvis or anything. It's not
No.
just religious groups,
Right.
and it's just like, but I feel like subconsciously because I grew up in that real Taliban era, and also the
Yeah.
thing is, it was never like visual. It was all like this invisible fear because
Mm.
it's not like I saw outside my house anyone actually walking around, saying I'm the Taliban and I'm here. It was just
Yeah.
like anything can happen anytime, and it's like all this invisible like these like terrorist minority groups, right? That are like can
Yes.
affect you anytime. And I feel like that's also a fear, right? Where it's a lot of times it's invisible and it's like, where is all this pressure coming from? And I think the red noise have kind of um again can is the metaphor for all of it, right? Like you can be
Yeah.
like, um that's like, I mean,
It's a
even when I
really
was thinking of,
effective
yeah,
metaphor.
yeah. So I feel like even when I filmed it is right after that, I think we were in the editing phase
Mm.
where or the animating phase where when October 7th happened. And I felt, and I did try to put a lot of focus on that in the music video actually, because at that point I was already feeling it represents like it started to represent like an actual some kind of like religious extremist group less. Like the red
Mm.
moisab and blue moisab represent that less to me now, and I feel like I'm attributing a lot of that quality to like like the US or Israel or something, where because
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same loop, and these groups exist because of them, and so I feel like yeah, it kind of changed how I saw the what I directed as well, which was interesting. So yeah, I feel like it just represents a lot of different like evil basically.
Yeah. So I think that you used the word privileged a few times. And
Mm-hmm.
I've in listening to you now and in listening to earlier interviews with you, I a couple of times
Mm-hmm.
I've picked up on a hesitance in owning
Mm-hmm.
that your fear, right? One often feels that I don't, because no one has actually come to my house or, tried
Yeah.
burnt my car. I don't actually have
Yeah.
the right to be afraid.
Right.
And I think that it's that phenomenon, which I understand, I've inhabited it myself, is actually quite
Mm-hmm.
bizarre because of course we have the right to be afraid, right? Of course we have the right
Yeah.
to feel there's
Yeah.
no hierarchy of terror.
Yeah.
Right? It's all
100%.
fucking
Yeah.
terrifying. And
Yeah.
I know we've talked already about the horror that is happening in the Middle East, but I in terms of privilege, just the fact that you and I are speaking with our
Mm-hmm.
voices, I'm thinking of the women of Afghanistan, the women and girls of
Mm-hmm.
Afghanistan who
Mm-hmm.
are currently barred
Yeah.
from speaking in public and singing in
Yeah.
public. And it really
Yeah.
ticks me off that we are so quick to embrace. I think I heard this line in I don't know if you follow of the feministani Sabahat Zakaria. I think she does
Mm-hmm.
fantastic work, but she did
Mm-hmm.
this video the other day about how
Mm-hmm.
Pakistanis our approach to international politics, and
Mm-hmm.
she said that we abhor America,
Mm-hmm.
and we refuse to embrace its culture or we question its culture, but we also embrace its counterculture in terms of our choices of what to be in, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
righteously offended by. And I feel
Yeah.
that there's a silence in Pakistan about what's happening to the women and girls of Afghanistan. Am I wrong to think that,
Mm-hmm.
or like what have you observed?
I don't think that you're wrong to think that. I think that I don't know if it's like intentional that we don't want to speak about that, or it's more like it feels like right now with the genocide, I feel like people are like it's kind of taken over everyone's even like daily mental health thing where we're just literally seeing like for example, of course, when I read about Afghanistan where you can't like girls cannot go to school. Like I can't even imagine that, right?
Hmm.
And but I think people when they're being presented online with like literal, like bodies of children and it kind of it's too visually I feel like it's been extreme and it's been like a year-long thing now where I think the reason they're not speaking is not because and I'm talking about people who are like-minded in the sense that they are obviously against the fact that any child would not be sent to school, right? Or like should not
Hmm.
be allowed to. I feel like if we're talking in terms of who's posting about it or not, or who's writing about it or not, I think that the um, genocide, because of also how visual and how daily and how extreme it's been, has kind of taken over for people. And I feel like there is um I mean, it kind of is horrible, but it's kind of like what I imagine for the average person who would never be against, girls getting educated. It would be like, here's a place where everything's blown up and like forget schools. There's actually no, a lot of the places there's no children to send to school, right? And then
Hmm.
there's like um girls who are not allowed to go to school, which is like I can't even talk about how terrible that is, but it's like it feels like
So I
I
don't
don't
want
know. I
to. I
mean,
don't want to pitch this, and I don't want this to come across as an
yeah,
either or situation. All
yeah, yeah,
all horror is horror, and that
yeah.
we don't need to establish that one thing is worse than the other. This is not about better or worse. I think in this context, why I touched upon it was I think that it's also relevant to what we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about, which is storytelling and story making. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it seems as if the image is dominant
Right.
across all
Yeah,
realities, right? And I
yeah,
think that's what you're
yeah,
saying also. If you Because we are seeing visuals of the genocide and
yeah.
we're not seeing what's happening.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
that's a big thing because I feel like, if it was all articles about the genocide or
mm,
little news clips and stuff, I do think
yeah.
that it wouldn't change how horrific it is, but I feel like the effect that it has on somebody and the amount of people are actually reading all that and then
Yeah.
posting about it would be, drastically different because
Yeah.
it's like it's so in your face, you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
Um, and I also feel like it would be interesting. Obviously, I'm not an expert, so I have no idea, but I feel like for some reason we do take our, especially in comparison, we definitely take our issues, and especially when it comes to girls and women, we take it very lightly. For example, I feel like not just Pakistan, though, I feel like globally, if we were to like isolate the Afghanistan issue, uh, it's like people are kind of like the world, not just Pakistan, is kind of deaf and blind to that, right?
Right.
And I feel like I don't know why that is. I don't think there's any justification for it. I feel like maybe like it's kind of like when I think about it, I feel like angry, but I'm also so desensitized because I've grown up in Pakistan. I've become desensitized to how how just backward a real life human's thinking can be, right? Because
Mm.
I've grown up with I'm forgetting the name of the somebody who's a I don't know if they're in parliament, they're chairman of something. They have some political position and they're like an old man and they're married to like a 12 or 13-year-old girl, like somewhere in Punjab or something. And I
Yeah.
feel like these are things that I grew up with and I literally accepted as part of my society,
Yeah.
not something I would ever stand for, but because I've just accepted it. When I feel like when I think of, girls in Afghanistan or the people that are doing this, which is stopping education, I feel like desensitized not to the crime, but desensitized to like it's not shocking anymore. It's not like I think it's because it's so close as well to where I am, right? That it's like
Mm.
it's almost like of course. Like yeah, it doesn't make it any like it doesn't make it justified, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't speak about it. I feel like on a personal level, I'm so like desensitized to it. Like I feel like helpless and then I feel like it's it's on some level not shocking me anymore. And I think that's could be one. I don't know, but it could be one of the reasons
Yeah.
why we're not like.
We're not talking about it.
And then
Sorry, I feel like I
yeah,
put you on the spot and took you into some sort of dark political alley, like you
no,
know,
no,
so
that's fine.
yeah. I mean,
That's
take
absolutely
you
fine. I
back
do
out
think
into
about
the
these things
light.
all the time.
Yeah. Um,
No, dude, this is some of the things like in my like time I do think about and I get really like it is a dark place because I like forget Afghanistan. Simply the thought of like only my life, right? Like
mm,
if you take the past 20 years or whatever and all the girls that have been born here in Pakistan in that time, or like if you take my mom's age and add that, and I used to have this thought a lot, and I used to like just spiral into this thought of like there's so many just generations of women and plus like babies being born today where I'm
yeah.
not even talking about education, I'm just talking about like the ability to like leave the house or just not have your future already written by something
Yeah.
or someone. And that thought itself is so dark where you're just thinking of just I think even generations is like too small for words, just like it
Yeah.
feels like a whole race or something of people that just never that lived the whole time. Like they were born 0 to age 70, 80, whatever.
Yeah.
But like it was just completely stolen. And it's just like
Yeah.
that's the same kind of helpless feeling when I think about any girls in Afghanistan who are not being able to go to school. It's the
Yeah.
same like, oh my God, we're like in hell, basically. You know?
Yeah. I don't want to go to there, I think. I
Yeah,
don't want to go
yeah.
to there. Uh,
I don't want to go to there. Yeah.
I don't want to go to there.
Yeah.
Um, 'Cause now I've forgotten what I was going to say because I'm just trapped in this. I don't want to go to there.
Yeah.
But it's there's a question for you
Yeah.
that popped up on the Lakir. So there's this really nice magazine, this new online digital space called Lakir, which hosts
Yeah.
this podcast because they I don't know why, but they let me.
Yeah.
And so there was a question from one of their followers, I think Dunia Fan, and their question was,
Hmm.
how do you maintain the balance between social commentary and humor? And I'm bringing this up now because I think it's related to the fact that we were just talking about how the
Yeah,
echoes of the world manifest in your work.
yeah. I
So
think
how do you maintain the balance between social commentary and humor?
I think that I let me think. I feel like I never wanted to be preachy or have a lesson for people to learn from my videos or be like, this is a message, not think about it, or this is the right way to think or anything. And I think my main goal from the beginning was to be funny. Like that was my job. But because of the person I am, like aside from um, you being a comedy, this thing is that I feel really deeply about, and I keep myself quite informed about things, that are political, and I've been doing that since I was a kid, like, which is why I was writing an article about like Saddam Hussein for no reason, and I feel
Mhm.
like so it kind of naturally happens that the things that affect me are they like show up in a funny video that I'm already making, if that makes sense. So like if I um even in the music video, after the dance battle between the Moisa and the pig, it kind of cuts to there's an alien and he's actually controlling the whole dance thing,
Yeah.
and it that was also a metaphor for like here in Pakistan, it's like a fight between um the mullah and the pig, but the people controlling it are completely like alien, and I feel like so it's not something I thought about that. Oh my God, this is like some great there's a message here, like I'm commenting on, like the way global politics works or anything. It's just that the things that I care about when I'm making something funny, they just happen to like pop up in that. So I don't like try to like I don't try very hard to like I have to strike a balance or I have to, be equally funny and be equally like informed. It's usually like I'm going to be funny and somehow it kind of like it happens, I feel. And that's why I feel like social commentary, like I'm also not someone who's like, okay, now this happened, now I'm going to definitely speak about this, and I'm definitely going to speak about this, and it's like whenever I make a video, that's how I know what I like truly care about as well, is that I'm only commenting on things that like really affect me enough to make a funny video on something,
Okay.
and I don't know if that answered the question. Because I
So,
don't know exactly how to strike a balance. It's something that has happened, I think, naturally.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense to me because I'm actually quite conflicted about the term social commentary. I think it's a bit
Hmm.
like the term content creator. I,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in my experience, I've heard it being applied to women who think and women who speak and women who analyze.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a term that is unwittingly, definitely in this case, sometimes contributing to reducing the female gaze to
Yeah.
something light, whereas actually it's piercing and eviscerating.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because my account actually gets like that a lot. Like whenever I'm introduced or there's something written or like it's often like, she does social commentary and it's like I didn't even know I did that. Like I was just
Yeah.
making videos, right? Like I was just making funny videos and this is one perspective and my perspective. And yeah, I don't really yeah, that's why I also didn't know how to answer it because like I don't really know what like
What
when
is
I
it?
see
What is social
like an alien
commentary?
video, yeah, and like I'm not really gonna like you're looking for some kind of social commentary in something I'm saying, then that's different. But I'm not doing anything other than just a character is talking.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I agree with you on that.
Uh, would you say you're a product of Karachi, or would you say you're a product of Pakistan? And are ideas about representation even important to you? Should they be? Do they
I
serve to constrict artists or, help them transcend boundaries?
I think I'm definitely Karachi. I feel like I have to kind of because I've grown up here. I've spent like all my life here, and when I think about a lot of the work that I have made, it has come from like observing and observation, and a lot of that observation has happened like in Karachi. And I feel like yeah, the roots of Swineryy are definitely like in Karachi for sure.
I thought I thought you would say that because I was watching a podcast that you did recently,
Yeah.
and with two other stand-up comics, and there was
Yeah.
only a certain amount of crap you took about Karachi before you very subtly started pushing back. So I thought, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? That's really funny because their podcast, it ends right when like I think the rest of it was on their Patreon or something, but it
Yeah,
ends right when I really started to like kind of bust their balls about. I was like, you guys are
yeah,
because they were. I was like, it seems like you're really misinformed on like what Karachi and Pakistan is about. So, and
yeah.
I was obviously they're like stand-up comic friends, so they were just messing around. But and and this is coming from me, which it always surprises me that like I mean I'm basically like anti-establishment in every way, and I'm even with Karachi, like I say that I'm a product of Karachi, but like Karachi has always been also been like a kind of hell for me, right? So it's been like
Yeah.
it's it's crazy how that comes out when I don't know if it's like Stockholm syndrome or whether what it is.
Mhm.
It's definitely not like patriotism or something for me. It's more like I just don't like it when people are not I don't know accurate about the
Yeah,
I
so
don't know
I think I know
misinformed, I guess.
exactly what you mean
Yeah.
because I left Karachi 5 years ago and I still feel the same way about it. And
Right.
I didn't know when
Yeah.
I was your age that I was going to leave it. I was like, no, I'm going to die here, man. Like, you know,
Right.
मेरी हड्डियां इस शहर के कुत्ते खाएंगे. But,
Oh my
you
gosh.
know,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
and I think at that time when I was young, I literally had this feeling that Karachi had chosen me to be something.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever had
Yeah.
that feeling. Have you ever had that feeling that Karachi has
I used to
chosen
feel
you?
like I used to feel like the word like the universe has chosen me or something. I don't
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
I had this like what's it called? Like a delusion of grandeur or something where I was
Well,
like,
how do we
I'm
know it was not a delusion of grandeur? It might be a delusion, but it doesn't have to be a grandeur.
yeah, I know. But I feel like I don't know if I felt like Karachi had chosen me. I just felt like yeah, like I feel like I definitely my path would have been so different, I feel like if I was in a different city. Um it's like that typical cliched thing of like, all the struggles kind of are working mysteriously to actually help you end up in some place. And I feel like that definitely happened with me in Karachi, where I feel like actually when Swineryy was really taking off and blowing up and stuff, that was like really strange time for me because it was like this insane thing was happening where like I didn't even think like even saying I didn't think of it would be possible would imply that I was like trying for it. I just wasn't even
Mhm.
trying, and it was like all happening. It was amazing, and I was before that trying stand-up comedy, which I thought like was what I wanted to do, but this took off, and it was amazing. And at the same time, I was having like the worst like my personal life was just incomplete. Like it was hell, and it was like it was so strange that that was happening, and I felt like a lot of the fuel that I got from that difficult time was going into, like it was resulting in Swinery, like more content in a way.
Yeah.
I don't, that's
Yeah.
such a weird word to use for what was going on, but like more content was coming out of me, um, because of that stuff. And I feel like that stuff, it's stuff that would only be happening in Karachi anyway. So I feel like it's it's funny how for some reason I'll excuse Karachi for a lot of things, like a lot of really terrible
Mm.
things. And I don't know if that, but I know I sound like I'm kind of justifying
No, no. I
really
see. I
shit.
think what
Yeah.
you're saying is that, and it's a really deep truth. So we stories have two basic functions. One, they teach us how to live, and two, we tell ourselves the stories we need to survive. So if we're going
Yeah.
through a tough time, and when we cast ourselves as chosen, we're basically bigging ourselves up and telling ourselves that no, you keep going. I mean, you do this thing because there's a
Yeah.
reason, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
actually kind of beautiful, and
Yeah. It's also, it used to feel like some kind of trauma response that, like, it's like for a while I had this like weird imposter syndrome type thinking where I'm like, oh, nothing bad's happened in a while. Is that why I'm not being creative? And I don't know, that could be like a Karachi thing as well, right? Like I need somebody to like mug me but not kill me or something for me to like
yeah.
make a video or something. But like basically it's like if you had abusive parents that were like still fun, and then you
Yeah.
live in that house forever. That's like Karachi, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no moving out. You basically live there forever. And it's
Yeah.
like funny and fun, but they'll beat you up as well. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, and I think you raised a very important question also that I don't know the answer to in the middle of that, which was, can happy people create?
I feel like, are there even happy people? Like truly, like there are happy people who create, but then we think they're happy, but maybe they have some like insane trauma that they haven't even processed, and it's like maybe it's the result of that. Because are people just like
Yeah.
ran are just they're just healthy and happy people walking around?
Yeah,
Probably.
okay. So,
But
so you're a better person
yeah.
than I am for giving people the benefit of the doubt.
No, I do think like that. Like I am really bitter, by the way. Like if I see, I'm like, if I see somebody who looks like they're just happy, life is great, there's no issues, whatever. I do get that feeling, and it's kind of unfair where I'll be like, okay, that's why you're not funny because everything's like perfect for you or whatever. Like I don't know. Or like I'll just see somebody who internally I'm like, oh my God, they're so dumb. And it's obviously because their life is just perfect, right? So they don't have to think.
Mm.
And um or like people who are like apolitical or whatever. It's like, yeah, just like that's
Yeah.
it's because it's because you don't have any like problems.
Yeah.
Um, and I do get what you mean. I feel like I'm sure happy people can create and they can be funny. It's like, not every comedian has been through trauma or was like molested as
No,
a kid or something. But I do feel like having trauma, and obviously not every traumatized person also ends up being creative. I think most
of
people
course.
are traumatized in some way and they don't are not lucky enough to have this like, avenue or whatever. But it's like that, yeah, a lot of the times people who are traumatized, I think it just gives you more of this like kind of you're hyper aware of things, of people, and it makes you like more observant. And then if you have that innate like thing to, you have some art form that you're like into, then it can just
Mhm.
help. I think it can help kind of fuel your, yeah, creativity sometimes.
You used to do stand-up comedy. Do you miss it?
I really miss it. I didn't do it as much as I would have liked. Like now I feel like a fraud if I ever say that I'm like a comedian because I'm not doing stand up. Although like it has been a few years. I did it in Karachi for a little bit, and then I did it in the US a couple of times, and but it's been like it was all pre-COVID. So I haven't had like since Swineryy happened, the writing
Hmm.
for stand up is very different where I would think of something and I would write it and try to write it for stand up like, oh, I could write this into a joke and kind of perform it. And then Swineryy started happening, and I think like all my ideas started going there. And I wasn't like writing. So I do wish that I could go back to it. I do feel like, when I watch comedy and stand-up comedy, I do feel like doing it. And um because I'm such a nerd about it, I do feel like that's like my true like, it's like what I like to watch is stand-up comedy. And what I like to do is hang out with comics or like be in a comedy club. Like that's like my happy place or something. But I don't know if for me it would be like doing it for the very first time because I haven't done it in
Okay.
so long, and it's like really would take a lot of nerves and guts and all that stuff. And yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what the stand up is like in Karachi anymore because I haven't been in so many years. And I know that there before COVID there was like, a nice little like, growing scene, and which I was like a part of for a little bit. And then COVID happened and it was like kind of destroyed. And I think now it's actually grown a lot. And from what I've heard, it's like there's a lot of newer, younger comics, and there is a lot of comedy happening. But obviously, yeah, like we don't have, like comedy clubs or like a place where it can happen every night or every other night or every week or something. So it's always people who are organizing these events and like, putting in a
Hmm.
lot of effort to like, okay, this is the venue and this is the place, and then selling tickets and all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any opinion on why we laugh? Why do we laugh? Like I've always been fascinated
Why we
by
laugh.
what people, yeah, why do we laugh? What makes people laugh? It's because it's quite
I think it's
arbitrary,
like,
I think.
I think it's like we just laugh because we feel connected, I think, to one thing. And it can be anything. I think there's like even if you're laughing by yourself, the thought will always involve a situation where there's somebody or something's happening or whatever. And I feel like, yeah, it's like we were just born out of nowhere in this universe. And there's, if you look around us, technically, this is like terrifying. Like, what are we? Like, what is this place? Like, what are there trees and puppies? And it's so random, right? But I feel like, yeah, when two
Wow,
humans
that's
can kind
making
of
me
like
laugh.
connect on a thought,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Yeah.
like if two humans can just connect on, I think on the most basic level, it's kind of like, okay, we're looking at this together, and it's ridiculous, right? That must have been the most basic, like caveman kind of
Mm.
joke of like, I don't know, seeing a weird tree and just being like, what the fuck is that? And
Yeah.
then this doing that together, right? So I think life is kind of like bewildering, and you're just like, you just laugh because you connect on, you like acknowledge that you both, or like two people at least, can like, yeah, just connect on something that's like funny, it's like not serious. I think that's why we laugh. I think it's one of the
Um,
best feelings to like um laugh with someone. And when something is truly funny and like you can't stop laughing, and when you're with somebody, I think that beats like any feeling pretty much.
I would agree with that. So, we've nearly been talking
Yeah.
for 2 hours, so I better wrap this up and let you
Amazing.
go. So my last two questions, the second last one is, what are your thoughts on the Great Firewall of Pakistan?
Oh, um, I've actually been used to so many things impacting me as a storyteller that I'm just like, when it was happening, I was like, okay, just I guess I just give up. I'll just whatever will happen will happen. It's kind of like I used to get strikes on my page because of whatever I would say on my story. Then there's like algorithms changing, the reach is different. Like you have to dance on a certain song for your followers to see your work. It's like too much shit is already happening. You know what I mean? And then
Hmm.
I feel like with the firewall, but I also can't take Pakistan seriously sometimes, like on one hand, they could ban YouTube for like 10 years and you can't do anything about it. Or the firewall will come, or like nothing is gonna happen. And
Yeah.
it's like unpredictable. So I haven't even let myself kind of think about it, to be
Okay,
honest.
that makes sense. And that brings me to
Yeah.
my last question, nicely, which is, because Pakistan or despite Pakistan?
Okay, that's a good question. Because Pakistan or despite Pakistan? I think like the answer is gonna be boring, but it has to be both, right?
Hmm.
It has to be like it's definitely despite Pakistan and despite like everything, I feel like that's within Pakistan. I don't just mean like if I say despite Pakistan, doesn't just mean like, oh, despite the laws that we have, or despite it's like despite Pakistan, despite people, despite circumstances, despite, um everything. And yeah, I mean, it's also because of Pakistan and all of the things I mentioned. So I think it has to be both.
Okay.
But it's not
Um,
like one role is smaller than the other. I definitely think that a lot of it is like despite Pakistan,
yeah.
and less of it is because Pakistan. Because I don't think like, for example, what I do is like, it's not like this can only happen in Pakistan, and Pakistan is what made it happen. When I say because Pakistan, some of some of that also contains the despite, if that makes sense. Because Pakistan would mean just the fact that it all happened here and the things that I've observed are here. Um,
Mm.
and because Pakistan doesn't necessarily mean that like I was encouraged in any way, you know,
Mm.
um, or given any kind of platform or anything like that. So yeah, boring answer, but
No, I think it was a perfect answer. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
likewise, I feel like I really rambled on and spoke for, I think this was 2 hours long because I didn't shut up basically. And I have
You
this
didn't
problem
ramble at
sometimes.
all. Thank you for everything, not just the conversation, but for all the joy that you brought me over the years.
Mm.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.